We are live right now, live doing a reseller Q&A. I'm the reseller, and you can make over $10,000 a month selling things online. How do I know this? Because I do that. I make more than 10 grand a month in sales. It's not hard to do, but 10 grand a month in sales is a good benchmark for a lot of people. So I kind of phrase my videos, how to get started, and how to work your way up to there. Once you hit 10 grand a month, your business will be so individualized that no generalized advice is going to be that useful. But for everyone else, how to get started. How to start. That is the question of the day. So what I'm doing now is taking the links from YouTube. I have to open up the video, open the chat up, all that stuff that I do that hopefully in the very near future I won't have to do because of the new setup. Just waiting for it to pop up, and then we're going to share the links in Facebook. The Facebook group is WBK Ultra Group, and then my Twitter as well. On Twitter, my name is @WBKnoblock, same as my Instagram account, and I encourage you to follow me there. We can talk there. It'll be a lot of fun. You can see all the places I go and source. Hey, we got Harry Tornado here. Josh, I called you Josh Tornado on accident last time. But Harry Tornado is doing some awesome stuff down in South Carolina with Goodwill pallets. So if you're seeing those, I suggest you watch his videos. He's a good guy, a very good guy. So now we're taking the link, and I really would love for you guys to share this, because if you do, it helps more people. What I say is I say, we're live! We are live. I say that, and it just gets people comfortable with the idea of reselling. So many people are scared to start new things because, you know, the way that we live in the United States, you don't have to take a lot of risks, really. Things are pretty good, and so the kind of behavior that helps one grow and helps one, find out what they're good at, trials and tribulations and struggle and strife, those things are absent from many people's lives in the terms of making money, in the terms of business terms. Obviously, everyone has their struggles, but no one's trying to find ways to, get food. No one really starves to death in America, although we do have a serious malnutrition problem. The point I'm trying to make is a lot of people don't feel compelled to do this kind of stuff, so they need to get pushed a little bit. I'm just a positive pusher. Right? I'm just gonna bully you into being better. Daniel Green sent us $2, so you know what that means? That means the money horn gets a toot. And whenever someone donates money, I do that. And if it gets to the point where someone's giving me money nonstop and I can't talk, I'll stop doing it. But for the time being, it happens just intermittently, and it's fun to do. And I bought a drum the other day at a thrift store so I could have a money drum too. But the money drum smelled like poop. It smelled so bad, so I had to throw it away. So there is no money drum, but there will be more and more money instruments. And I think what I'll do is work my way up. So Josh says he needs a gong. Oh, 100%. I used to have a gong, but I sold it. The more ridiculous things you can do. Daniel Green gives $2. What I have to do is get a level of I wonder if I can even find it. I don't want to. It really did smell terrible. And it wasn't loud either. It sounded very docile, which I don't like that. I don't like that. So anyways, this is going to be a Q&A video, and we're just talking about any questions you have about resale, any questions you have about how to make money online, that kind of stuff. I've made money a lot of different ways, and hopefully I can answer those questions for you. And also, there's people in the chat who love to answer questions as well. Mike has a question. He goes, I know you have a lot going on, but here's a question. You know anything about Danbury 22K gold baseball cards? So I remember back in the late 90s, there were Michael Jordan gold leaf cards, I guess, or gold plated cards. They're not worth a large amount of money, but they're not pure 22 karat gold. So if there are 22 karat gold, and they're 22 karat gold is like, what is that? 92% gold, I think. 24 divided by 100, or 24 divided by, well, by 5, by 2.5 is going to be, yeah, it's like 98% gold, I guess. It's a large portion gold, is what I'm trying to say. 91%. So yeah, it's I guess sterling silver is 92.5. So that would make sense too. It's not. It isn't. It certainly isn't that. But anyways, no, I don't know what they're worth. Never heard of them. I can look it up right now, I guess. Danbury 22 KT gold card. Let's see what they are. The Danbury Mint. Okay, I see what this is. So it's Danbury Mint. They make gold, and these cards sell for $12.95 a piece. So I am assuming that they are not all gold, or if they are extremely thin, because 22 carats of gold, an ounce of that is going to be, a gram of that is going to be worth like $80, $90, I guess. I mean, it's going to be worth a lot of money. An ounce of it is worth like $1,700. So 1,700 divided by 28. There's about 28 grams in an ounce. Yeah, it's about $60. So about $60 for a gram, give or take $10, for a gram of 22 karat gold. So this would have to be a fifth of a gram to be basically, or a sixth of a gram to be like scrap weight. So I don't think that they are that valuable. I really don't, because if they can sell them for 14 bucks, they're probably not worth shit. Or if they are worth shit, not a lot of shit. Kev says, BK, WPK, I have a question. I hear many people, including me, are having a lot of items being marked as stranded inventory. I had a whole shipment of 197 items stranded for 3 days. Have you experienced? Yes! I have 290 items stranded right now, and I can't get them destroyed, removed, whatever. Amazon has an issue, so what they've begun doing now is they implemented this new thing where if your inventory is stranded for more than 30 days, it automatically gets destroyed or sent back to you. Will that actually occur? Will they follow their own rules? I don't know, because Amazon has a nasty habit of not following their own rules. Daniel Green, $2. Okay, so new rule. If you can't just give money over and over again. Sorry, Daniel. I'm only gonna do it one time per person, because the live streams are not about just like blowing making noises. They're about answering questions. So just like dripping in $2 here and then, I appreciate it. That's very nice of you, very kind. But I think that it might dissuade people from watching, just because it kind of gets old after a while. Let's see. Jody Naylor says, my last entire shipment is marked as stranded, and they haven't even received it yet. Yeah, there's issues right now. Obviously, Amazon is just, they're trying to adapt to the new way business is being done. Every state has different rules in place. Not to mention there are businesses who are putting priority to essential shipments still over non-essential shipments. There's lots of stuff going on. And so the way Amazon works is what they show us as being stranded. To us, that's just like one word. It could mean anything. But to them on their side, there's many, many classifications of something being stranded that they don't share with us because, it's proprietary information, or because it takes too long to adapt the website code to display that. Lots of reasons that I could not answer and we don't really know. And so just because they say it's stranded, that doesn't necessarily mean that they have it and they don't know where it is, or they have it and it's unsellable. It might mean that, the building collapsed, or like the FedEx truck caught on fire, or whatever it is, and you lost your inventory. That could be it too, but it doesn't necessarily mean that. It could mean a litany of things that we are not privy to. And that's frustrating and annoying, but that's what happens when a million individuals do business under the umbrage of a giant corporation. There's going to be things that are lost, not in translation, but in communication. Or the dude left the van somewhere and quit. Yeah, or that, we don't know! James Hancock says, what software do you use to find items to sell on Amazon? A lot of people might be hawking like products like tactical arbitrage or retail arbitrage lists, stuff like that. I do not use any of those. I don't recommend them, not because I think they're bad. I don't say don't use these, they're a ripoff, because I don't know if they're a ripoff. I just know that I don't need them to make money. And I also know that when a lot of people are privy 2 times in the same podcast, using that word, to the same information, that information becomes less valuable, right? The more people who have access to it, the less value it can provide. So, that being said, the software I use when I'm doing product research, I use Keepa. I'll type it in here. Keepa.com. I use Brickseek.com, and I use AMZ Scout. But AMZ Scout, I have an affiliate link for them in the video description, and it's like $200 for a lifetime subscription. And what they do is they parse specific sales data from Amazon. They collect and parse it, and then they show it in a way that shows you sales trends, that shows you how much competition a product has, or something like that. So that's what I use, but I'm not paying for anyone's like proprietary software that's like, here's the ones you gotta use, here's the real good products, because I don't necessarily believe that. Robert, the user, says Helium-10 is great for analysis. My understanding is that Helium-10 is very similar to AMZ Scout. I've never used Helium-10. I did a sponsored video for AMZ Scout a few years ago, and they gave me a lifetime pass. That's part, like whenever I negotiate a deal with any brand, I make sure I get lifetime access to their product because I want to be able to give information on them down the line that just makes sense to me. And so I use that because it's free for me, and I've not been told, or I have no evidence to believe that Helium-10 is better or worse for that matter. It's all the same information that they're gleaning. And so I guess, maybe it could be, from on an individual level, it might make more sense because of how they display the information. Like, I like Profit Bandit because of their display. You can get the same information from Amazon Seller App, but I just like how Profit Bandit does it. I'm not paying for them currently because I don't need to, but just like that would be an instance where my personal preference manifests in my decision. Kevin says, question, is Brickseek a big part of your business? Like one day a month, maybe it is. I'm checking Brickseek like twice a week, 3 times a week in the morning to see like, what's selling, what are popularly searched items, and if so, are they popularly searched because they have high resale value, or what's going on? So I check it, but I'm not just like every day like boom, 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 buying Nintendo Switches. Sorry, I kind of mumbled that. I'm not doing that every day. So it's like $30 a month. I probably make like $1,000 a month, $2,000 a month using the service. And so like on the days that I don't want to thrift, or I thrifted the day before and it was like bad, slim pickings, or like things are now around here where they're no longer accepting new donations, so they're just kind of like putting out the same shitty clothes over and over again. I tell you what, I don't know the conversations that go on in the thrift stores around here, the Salvation Armies and the Goodwills, but I have no clue what their goals are. I don't understand what they're trying to do, because they're not trying to make as much money as possible, and they're not trying to go through as much inventory as possible, and they're not trying to employ as many people as possible. I don't know what their goal is. They don't make it very obvious. It seems just like they're trying just to like I don't know. I don't even know what it is, because it seems so directionless in their actions. You can deduce based on very, very obvious things they're doing, and just like we're not selling pallets up here like they are in the South. Why? If you have so much inventory that you can't accept donations, and donations are free, why are you not selling pallets of inventory? Are you stupid? Or do you not think that your goal is to move product? I don't get it. I don't understand it. If someone at Goodwill or Salvation Army watches this, email me. I will give you tons of advice for free. You don't have to pay me even. I'll just give you help, because it frustrates me when I see people who waltz into these jobs kind of malign what I believe is the purpose of them. Anyways, if you have other questions besides that, feel free to ask them. Jody Naylor says, what bookkeeping system do you use? Inventory Lab, QuickBooks. I use Keeper Tax. It keeps track of all my transactions, and I say business, inventory or whatever, and then I say personal. And then they say, okay, how much inventory do you have on hand? And I just guess how much I have on hand. I have a lot of it at Amazon FBA, and that can give me a general idea of what I have. You can also use Inventory Lab to see how much inventory you currently have, like the dollar value. You can do it like that. I don't know exactly every single item. And from what I've been told, it's okay as long as you're like generally right. Like they're not going to be auditing me over like $10 an inventory that I have behind that I didn't say I had. As long as it's not like bad faith fraud, and you're not trying to find ways to evade paying taxes. What people have told me, and I have no clue if this is true. Here's the caveat: this is all just hearsay, opinion, hearsay. What I've heard is that if you're a small fish doing 100 grand profit or less, it does not make financial sense for the IRS to go after you to try and reclaim $2,000 in back taxes when they can go after these large corporations who are not paying taxes at all, like things like that, or people who just are running cash businesses like bars and that kind of stuff. That's what I've heard. I have no clue if it's true or not. And if you really are worried about taxes, the person to ask is not a YouTuber like me, but a CPA, someone who's gone to 6 years of college to learn this bullshit, and they will have an answer that will give you some sort of protection, I believe. Mike D says, can you negotiate at Goodwill? I'm sure you can, but will they be receptive to it? Probably not. A lot of the times, the folks at Goodwill, the manager can make price adjustments, but the cashiers they're so neutered in their responsibilities because it's a very hegemonical organization that, they can't do that. They don't have the authority to, which is absolutely absurd. You don't have the authority to lower the price on a donated good? You think you're going to be losing money? Like, no, you're not. That's not how the business model works. But again, I feel like the people who run the Goodwills are so divorced from the idea of, like, making money. Not everyone, of course. Of course, not everyone. The Salvation Army's actually, there's this woman, I figured her name, but she's extremely good at moving product. It's mostly around my area, the Goodwills, that they just seem totally inept in terms of, like, here's how a business is sustainable. And here's how a business provides value, not only to its employees, but to the community. And that's not by holding out 99-cent t-shirts that you think you're going to sell when they have like giant disgusting pit stains and stretched out v-necks. That's not how it's done. But I digress. So I had a question on the last video that I wanted to bring up, and someone just commented on that, and I said, instead of answering in the comments, I'll answer it in the next live stream, because why not? And they say, when you walk into a thrift store, what books do I look for? And the question has two parts. Second part is just sales rank and pricing parts, but the first thing is, what books do I look for? And I'm looking for textbooks, obviously. I'm looking for books that are in very good condition. I'm looking for books that are very old, and I'm looking for science fiction, high fantasy paperbacks or hardcovers from from publishers like Tor, from publishers like I forget the other names, but they're just like 70 or 80s like high fantasy, which is like knights in shining armor bullshit, magic, sci-fi, that kind of stuff, because those books have a good market as well. I'm not looking at like romance novels. I'm not looking at children's books generally. Sometimes I am if I'm really doing like a committed book search, because some kids books, like if you're fine making like $2 to $5 profit a book, kids book could be a gem for you. But very few kids books are worth more than like $15 from my experience, at least. Some are, obviously. There's exceptions to every rule. But I would say that's not where going to be the big winners are. I will favor nonfiction over fiction, but certainly some fiction books do sell. Now, for sales rank, I throw out two numbers. The first number is 1 million. The second number is 2.5 million. So if you're doing Amazon FBA and you're a beginner, if the sales rank for books and only for books is below 1 million, I would feel very comfortable saying, you know what, that's a safe buy for you in terms of worrying about getting storage fees 6 months or a year down the line. The 2.5 million number, that's a bit trickier, because an average 2.5 to 3 million sales rank book, that might take longer than 6 months to sell. So it's the kind of thing where I'm the only seller on there. or it's just relevant for other reasons that are specialized to that book and I can't really answer a generalized question on. And then thirdly, how do you price them? How do I price my books? So usually, pandemic accepted or pandemics excluded, I'm trying to be the buy box price. So if there's a prime seller for Amazon on books, only FBA books, I believe. They may have changed this, but I believe only FBA books, and certainly before the pandemic, only FBA books could be the buy box in used condition. So I would be the lowest prime price, and if there were no prime prices, I would put my lowest price at like 29 bucks. Even if there was someone selling the book for $5, if there was no other prime sellers, I'd put mine at about 30 bucks, and that seemed to be an area where I would occasionally get the buy box, the used buy box, if it was, a lot of people looking at it. Now, if there are no sellers at all, and the book is below below 1 million or even below 3 million for that matter, I would price it at $100. That was my number I'd do, because $100 for someone who wants a book, who really wants it, most people will pay that. Enough people will pay that where I'm not going to be losing sales. And if I do lose sales, I'm making so much per book sale that it doesn't matter. There might be a number higher or lower that is potentially more like fine-tuned, but just working in general terms, $100 for a book on Amazon when there are no other sellers. I've had lots of sales at that price. I've done 100, I've done 150, I've done 200. I get very few sales at 200. You still get intermittent sales at 150, but $100 seems to be like, okay, someone's like, okay, it's a lot of money, but I'll still do it. Because there are some textbooks that cost more than that, so it's not like for a stack of paper. It is not an exorbitantly high rate because there are retail prices far, far above that. It's a number most folks are okay paying. That's really the theory that goes into it for how I price books. Any other questions? We have 68 people. We have 69 people in the chat. If you're here, please give the video a thumbs up. And if you can, share the video and ask a question. Ask any question you want. What are you curious about? It can be about YouTube stuff. It can be about the TV show I'm on. I'm on Extreme Unboxing August 4th at 10 p.m. We're following up a show that has Jeff Foxworthy on it. Very excited. I'm going to do a live stream as I watch it in my house. So have fun. Join that when it happens. You can ask questions about eBay, about selling jewelry, about where to source, about selling art, I've sold clothing too. I wouldn't say I'm a clothing seller, but I've sold hundreds of articles of clothing for sure. Saidat Adigun says, how do I get ungated to sell toys? So for toys, you can get auto ungated based on your sales history, or you can go to a wholesaler. The only wholesaler I know off the top of my head that does toys is aent.com. It's a $1,000 minimum order. You can buy toys from them. But there's tons of ways to do it. Scott Soren says Goodwill has stopped accepting returns. I bought 31 VCR DVD combos, recorders Saturday. 12 of them don't work. Any suggestions for the ones that don't work? Put up an ad on Facebook, say free. Anybody can have these if they want them. You can scrap them. Who knows? That's how you can get rid of them in a more ethical way, or you just throw them away. Obviously, there's going to be like rare earth metals and that kind of stuff in VCRs and the motherboard and that kind of stuff. So there is potentially ethical implications if you want to take it that far. But we throw out so much shit anyways that I wouldn't say it's going to tilt the scales. That would be the easy, poison the earth method. Theoretically, obviously I'm taking it to an extreme. And then the more like ethical way is, okay, like find someone who scraps them. You could scrap them yourself, but it takes a lot of work to take them apart and all that kind of stuff, and potentially even refine the metals yourself. Especially if you're using like aqua regia, or nitric acid, that can have to remove the gold or platinum. That can have potentially detrimental health effects. Okay. Let's see. EGMD, do you think Extreme Unboxing will affect the reselling market? Very minimally. I've been making these videos for so long. So I guess what people are saying is, and I'll say that and then I'll address how it's so just goddamn stupid. They're saying everyone's gonna run out and buy pallets, and they're gonna tank prices and ruin everything, and I'm gonna lose my business. Okay, first of all, someone taught you how to be a reseller. May have been your father, may have been YouTube, but someone taught you. So are you really in a position to be withholding information if you didn't invent this process yourself? Secondly, reselling has been going on for centuries. Do you know one of the ways that freed slaves in the North made their living? They would pick clothing out of people's dumpsters, repair them, and sell them. Reselling has been around as long as there has been currency and possessions, so it's not something new. Thirdly, do you know how many people watched my video on reselling dollar store stuff? I have 2 million views on all my videos pertaining to dollar store stuff. 2 million people! Do you know how many people go to the Facebook group and actually learn the process and try and figure it out? It is less than 0.00005% of them all. Or 0.030, a period, a dot, 3 zeros and a 5. Whatever number that is, a half of a 1,000th of a percent, that's the number of folks who joined the Facebook group from those videos. Motivation is what keeps people from doing this, okay? So, unless the show is somehow not funny and comical and just wildly motivating, then yes, maybe we'll have a fraction of a percent of people join up. And maybe, in some absurd case, they might overbid you on techliquidators.com or something like that. Or maybe, under some insane circumstance, they might buy the truckload you wanted to buy. But how is that more likely than someone just like watching my videos and learning that way? Or the way you learned and doing it themselves? Not that I'm saying you think this. I'm just saying that's a criticism I'm seeing, and it's absolutely irrational. It's the kind of criticism that people who don't think things through give. People who want to criticize things. We have a serious problem in our country with enjoying criticizing people, with seeing people who are doing something that we don't like or that we can find fault in, even if the thing they're doing has a net gain to society. We find the one little thing we don't like about them and we blow that up and we criticize it to the point of it being nonsensical, purposeless, without direction, without any good faith intent. And that's what I'm seeing in a much, much, much more minor scale as we do on other people who are being canceled, for example. I see that style of criticism amongst the people who watch reselling videos. And I don't like it. And if you think about it, you won't like it either. Excuse me. Academic Pursuit says, why not sell them for parts? Because the parts market on DVD combos, unless they're DVD recorders, you can get about 40 bucks maybe every like 4 or 5 months you'll sell one. But the parts market for VCRs and DVD VCR combos is not good. Because think about it, what are they? Okay, so there's a tape deck. There's the silver tube machine things, whatever they're called, that the tapes run on. There's some sort of motherboard maybe on there. That's the parts you could sell. But everything else isn't really reusable. The one thing that I sold the most of was the rubber bands that ejected the tapes and moved everything around. But you're getting like $1. I tried this like 4 years ago. I got like $1 per one. It just didn't make any sense to do that. And then what happens so you're doing a half an hour work to make like $2 that you earn that doesn't get into your bank account like 6 months from now. It just is not there's so many of them, and there's so many ways to get the parts without pulling them out of these broken machines that the parts market is not there. What people do is they scrap them. And they take the metals out, the cases, and they scrap them. And I have no clue what the price of scrap steel is right now. I have absolutely no clue. Little Yellow Man 87 says, how do you get more views, sales on your eBay listings? I don't get it. I'll see guys get sold listings for the same item 20 bucks higher than my price, but it will sit for months. So there's two ways to go about this. One thing is if you're listing every day and you're answering questions every day, or you're listing 3 times a week or whatever it is, if you're continuously putting effort and time into your eBay account, eBay acknowledges that as a good business, and they're more prone to show people your listings. The third thing is going to be, this is kind of my theory. I don't know if it's true. I think eBay has their own like SEO algorithm, and I think an aspect of that is how many clicks it gets and how many times people click on the link and scroll down below the fold. Because that for every other website in the world, that signals engagement, right? And engagement is like the tech code word for money. So the more engaged you are, the more likely you are to spend money. And so I think people who have better descriptions, better pictures, that kind of stuff, even if their listings are higher, eBay favors them because, again, people engage with their listings more. I know this is crazy, but not everyone sorts by price when they are searching for items. So those are the two reasons why I think you might not be getting as good of luck. But secondly, just because your price is lower doesn't mean that it's in better condition. Doesn't mean that people you have the right keywords. There's a lot of things it could be. So you don't want to look at like, oh, why don't I have that? You want to say, what are they doing that I'm not? It isn't a fault of eBay, it's a fault of you. And that's hard to accept sometimes, but you're not doing as good as that person is. So understand like, why is, what do they have that I don't? And it isn't like a personal attack, just a fact. If someone's doing better than you, then you're doing worse than them. It's a two-way street. Let's see. Yeah, Jody says, I used to watch Storage Wars and never had the urge to buy a storage unit. Yeah, it's a totally absurd thing. Jasmine, let's see what that translates to, and I'll try and answer it. I hope it isn't swear words. Is that Korean? Yeah, it's Korean. I'm in the wrong place. Ah, that's funny. Oh my goodness. I can't say that, but that's what they're saying. Jasmine, I am so sorry that you're in the wrong place, but you are still welcome. Sometimes if it's less money, people assume less quality items, so we'll buy a more expensive one. Yeah, can be a better price in the middle. Absolutely, Lori. That's totally true. Let's see. Chris Croft Crafts, that's a tongue twister, asks, I recently acquired a pile of sci-fi plates, figurines, etc. from the 80s. What would be the best way to sell them? So, lot them up by franchise, right? Are they Star Wars? Are they Street Fighter? That isn't sci-fi, but, you know, are they Star Wars? Are they Dune-oriented? Are they all these things that were kind of big in the 80s? And then see which of those is the most profitable niche, and then go through your pile and say, okay, like, this sells for that. What I would do is just look for, like, the very, very valuable stuff. For me, I would say things that sell for over 50 bucks, I'd sell individually, and then everything else, I would just lot up and say, here's a lot of Star Wars memorabilia, plates, figurines, etc. And you could auction them off if you wanted to, or you could just price them. You know, you say, okay, there's 10 figurines, the average figurine sells for 12 bucks, and then just do the math that way and price it at 100 bucks or whatever. Something else from Jasmine. I'm so curious what Jasmine has to say. I put the chicken nuggets on the stove and later saw this guy on the phone. That's so funny.
치킨 너겟을 난로에 두고 나중에 이 사람을 전화기에서 봤어요.
That's amazing. So there's a phrase, I suppose, in Korean that means chicken nuggets.
치킨 너겟을 난로에 두고 나중에 이 사람을 전화기에서 봤어요.
God, that's so fascinating. Well, we're glad to have you here, Jasmine. I hope you can understand me. Firecrest says, if you have zero money, search Blake's old videos. The 0 to 10K challenge helped me a lot. Thank you. Thank you very much. Yeah, I have an old series of videos called the 0 to 10K Challenge where I walked around the street, I picked up pop cans, I returned those, and then I bought books, and I showed like, okay, here's how you get your first $100, and then, I kind of fell off the trend because it was too difficult to differentiate my 10K inventory versus my regular inventory, but it's not hard to do just to work your way up. Lady T says, I have about $3,000 and want to get started. Perfect! Should I place one big order from China or one product and go to different stores and get a variety of products to resell? I would not recommend private labeling with all your money initially because there are pitfalls in the process that could bankrupt your $3,000 savings. What I would recommend you do to become familiarized with how Amazon works, with the resale market, is buy used books at thrift stores. Take $100 out of your $3,000, put the rest in the bank, or invest in some safe stocks or whatever it is. Let that accrue interest while you learn the process of how you can sell this stuff. And I recommend used books because they're hard to screw up. You put a sticker on the back, you put them in acceptable condition, and you send them to Amazon. If you're not comfortable with that, you can just do them out of your back, out of your house, out of your garage. I recommend that because that's the lowest risk way to learn the ropes, in my opinion. Jody Naylor says, if you bundle products to sell, what do you use for a UPC on Amazon? Oh boy, that's a good question. So there used to be these things called GTIN exceptions, but I have not made my own listing on Amazon for my own product in so long that I don't remember the process. You're going to be able to go to seller support and ask them, and you're going to say, I want to. Basically, it's going to be like other FBA questions, and you're going to have to talk to some dingus in a call center, and they're not going to give you a right answer. But you're going to say, can I talk to someone? Can I talk to a supervisor? And then you're going to say, can I talk to someone on captive support? And then you're finally going to get it listed. But I believe what it's done is, I believe the way it's still done is called the GTIN exception. But again, I'm not 100% sure on that. We have another message in Korean from Jasmine. Let's see what Jasmine said. My brother doesn't buy your chicken nuggets. So someone asked, can I have chicken nuggets? And that response is like, these aren't for you. That's so funny. You see, humor is universal. Christian Gonzalez says, what do you do when USPS hasn't updated tracking information and a customer opens request against you? Unfortunately, you have to just go along with it, and you have to say, hey, message them and say, hey, it isn't updated yet. It was sent out now, and then you're gonna have to fill out this when you go to the tracking number. I believe the tracking number is an option to file a complaint. I do that twice last week, just because they were delayed. So you just have to. There's no way you can win that. You just have to play along with it and say no, it's actually on its way. I know it's a pain in the ass, but you have to play by the rules sometimes. Jack Suck says, hey, I've never resold before. What's a good starter item or a variety of items? I have $500. Jack, I'm so glad you came. I can tell you actually advice. This is actually the perfect thing for this. So I just said this 10 minutes ago or 5 minutes ago, but the best thing to start with is used books on Amazon. Open up your Amazon account and sell used books. I have tons of videos. My last live stream even was all about used books. That is the lowest risk way to do things. And when you have $500, that's the easiest way to make $10,000 out of $500 is selling used books. Or certainly the lowest risk way, I'd say. Great Legs Flippers says, I just refunded over $200 in products because of USPS limbo. Guess what just showed up today in tracking? Yeah, that sucks. I don't refund until I have to, but I mean, unfortunately, that's the reality of how things are going, Are you going to stop selling because you got screwed over? Probably not. I'm not going to. It's just everyone has shitty things about their job. Everyone does. One Thrift Cookie. Have you talked about Amazon making sellers' addresses public? I have, I briefly in the Facebook group, and I'll link to the Facebook group right here. because you should all join the Facebook group. We are helpful and nice, and I'm a member of other reselling groups, and they have just devolved into chaos talking about politics. Everyone's just mad right now, and they're using any social media they can to bitch about anything they can. And I have been deleting those posts like a motherfucker because my Facebook group is not a place for you to blow off steam or prove how smart you are. Okay? It's just not. It's a way you can help people make money, and that's it. So join it. So, anyways, excuse me, I have to burp. That's why I was quiet for so long. Excuse me. Yeah, so in regards to Amazon making sellers' addresses public, what I hate to see is when someone says, well, if you're not doing anything wrong, what's the problem? What do you think is the problem? You think, oh, during the Revolutionary War, England had troops living in people's houses. Well, if you're not doing anything wrong, what's the problem? If you get pulled over for no reason, well, what's the problem? The cop just wants to make sure you're not doing anything wrong. That is the stupidest, most ignorant way you can think about any invasion of your privacy, any neglection of your rights. It's so dumb, because here's what's happening. Someone buys something from you, they lose the A to Z case, then they send your house a bag of flaming shit. Alright, this is just, it's forcing sellers to buy P.O. boxes, to have their LLCs be run by lawyers. They're forcing resellers to take these extra steps towards anonymity that were previously guaranteed to you. I think it's ridiculous. I hate it. I don't like it. But on the other side, the other side of the coin, I can't do anything about it. I'm not going to stop selling on Amazon because my P.O. box is public. That's just, what I'm upset for is the people who can't afford that, or the people who aren't me who are going to get screwed over by this, You can't just think, well, how does something affect me? You have to go, how is this going to affect people who are being denied, their any sense of autonomy? And I get it. Amazon is their own business. They're beholden to their own rules. I can't say, but you're so dumb, Jeff Bezos. Why would you do this? He's a trillionaire, He can make his own decisions. But I'm just saying, sometimes I don't think they understand the waves of impact these things have on people's ability to make their own income, to have their own freedom, to have their own autonomy, to make decisions for themselves, That's what I think about it. One more message from Jasmine in Korean, and this is the longest one. I made a strange younger brother use my oven, but he will steal my chicken nuggets and eat a cat. Well, that's a bit, I don't know what that means, but
아는 이상한 남동생이 내 오븐을 사용하게 했지만 그는 내 치킨 너겟을 훔쳐서 고양이를 먹을 것이다.
The only word in Korean I can say is chicken nuggets. That is the only thing I can say, but it's chicken nuggets. Chicken nuggets. I'm gonna go to Wendy's and go, can I have a large chicken nuggets? And we'll see what they say. Kevin says, question, what is your next step in reselling, growing your business? My next step in my business, in terms of items sold, it's actually getting smaller. I'm just buying more and more expensive items that I can sell for more and more money because I want to focus more and more time on YouTube, on the TV show, on doing things that affect a large amount of people and hopefully help them, because how many of these bullshit TV shows on TV where they have millions of minutes watched and they provide no value? They don't help people at all. I don't like that, so I'm trying to transition my life more towards that direction where I have a larger impact on just people in general, and them having the ability to live on their own, to have their own jobs, not to have a boss, not to insert themselves into this ridiculous wage system that is propped up by, the government, essentially. It's not a free market system. I'll tell you that right now. It's crony capitalism when you take it to working for Walmart or whatever. It's absolutely absurd. And I want to help people free themselves from those shackles of being forced or of believing you think you have to work for $12 an hour, or for believing that there's this thing called like a livable wage, as if there's some magic number that makes your life perfect. Because here's what's going to happen, you morons, when the wage gets artificially lifted, or lowered for that matter, everything else will adjust. If you look at like the cost of college tuition and the rate at which student loans are issued, guess what happens? Tuition goes up, loans go up, and then the schools use that as we can charge more. Oh, we can justify investing more money in our schools because we know that the government will subsidize a larger portion of the total bill. It's absolutely insane to ignore that, that market forces exist. So that's why my reselling business is not necessarily growing. Sorry, that was kind of a rant for a minute. We're getting so many. I'm gonna have to stop reading. Oh, okay. Now we're just talking about eating cats from Jasmine. I think that's a stereotype, right? Is that people in other countries eat cats? I think so. I don't know. I don't think I would eat cat. I guess it would depend what the cat's diet is. You know, the more I do more hunting and fishing and that kind of stuff, and the more I become like more connected to like wildlife in quotes, the more I'm like, I don't know how I feel about like eating domesticated animals. Just because like when you see like a squirrel in your yard and you see a squirrel out in the woods and you kill the squirrel in the woods, you don't feel bad. But I would feel bad if a squirrel runs up to me and I lop its head off with an axe. Just like me personally, I wouldn't feel good. Lori R says, "Where's your TV show? It's going to be on A&E Network." A&E is they own, or it's a part of a company that owns like 5 networks. I think they own Discovery Channel too. It's a show on there. It's going to be at 10 p.m., which I have been told that's a good place to be. Right now they're kind of pushing the show pretty hard, so I think they're trying to turn this show into like their next Storage Wars or their next Pawn Stars. And I really, really, really want that to be the case, because if that's the case, that's going to allow me to introduce so many more people to making money on their own terms. Not necessarily doing pallets, not necessarily doing thrift stores, but just like, hey, you don't have to have a job. You can make money, you can work 10 hours a week and make 60 grand a year and just have a YouTube show where you make, you can do whatever you want to do. Most people, if they're not weighed down by student debt and personal debt and paying $25,000 a year for their kid's stupid private school, most people are fine if they're in a couple and there's 2 of them with a $120,000 home income. That's fine. Maybe you don't get to live in, Brooklyn's trendiest neighborhood. I saw this absolutely insane news article about people in Brooklyn and Bedford-Stuy saying like, oh, we can't afford our $4,000 a month rent, so we can't pay rent, boo-hoo. That is absolutely insane that people think they have to go to Brooklyn to make a name for themselves. We have the internet, my friend. Gotta calm down. What's your email for questions, says Alper Miller. If you email me and it's not like a business thing, I'm probably not gonna answer because I get a lot of emails and I can't do that anymore. What you can do is join the Facebook group and ask a question in the Facebook group, because someone's gonna answer you there, and I am very, very officious about making sure that that people are okay. Shannon Baldwin says, or extreme couponing, where all the grocery stores changed their coupon policies that eliminated the ability to buy $900 of groceries for free or make money with overages. Yeah, so that's, there's no like con to buying pallets from Amazon. The purpose of coupons is to introduce people to new products. And so like we're not exploiting some system. I could see how if I was like, hey, we're doing a TV show about how you can pull gold out of toilets, like all the gold in toilets would be gone very, very soon. But it's not about that. It's about like a process of what's it called? Of making money. Mike says, I've been thinking of moving a state over just to have no sales tax and less property tax. Mike, you should. Unless you have a reason to stay where you are, you should decentralize. People should. Firecrest says, people in cities are insane. I pay less than $1,000 a month for my mortgage, including insurance and taxes, and I have land. Yeah, it's pretty freaking nuts how far 200 grand goes around the country. 200 grand gets you, what, a closet in San Francisco? Not even that, probably. That's the fucking crazy part. It gets you maybe even like half of a parking spot. It's just crazy. When should I be looking for thrift stores? Oh, Kurt Overman says, what should I be looking for in thrift stores? Book, toys, DVDs? When you are looking, how do you know if they're going to sell? Do you just look at the seller ranking? Yes, I do. I let eBay and Amazon do the work for me. I have, in my mind, I have memorized what the good brands are, what the good products look like, but everything I'm buying, with few exceptions, I look up everything. I say, okay, sales rank on this VCR combo is 120K. It'll probably sell. Sales rank on this VCR is 1.2 million, and there's 2 FBM listings. I shouldn't do that. That's a bad idea. So that's really what I'm doing. Lady T says, that show was always fake. All my stores limit you to 4 coupons at a time, and if you come in with 100 coupons, they will call the police on you. That's absurd. Call the police. Then Shannon goes, yeah, cashier's free, can take a break. Yikes. That is the kind of person who can't function doing just understood functions of their job. Boy, oh boy. That scares me. Mark says, I'm at $600 a month for a 3-bed, 2-bath, 2-car garage, bi-level, cookie-cutter house within 10 miles of Amazon's CVG warehouse and eBay's global shipping warehouse. So I'd say you're probably around Kentucky or whatever state is south of Kentucky. I think they're down there. Awesome, man. That's good for you. You're very smart. You know how to use your money to get the most out of it. Yeah, I think that's smart. Austin Zeltvanger says, when did you go full-time as an entrepreneur? Did you ever work a job after college? I have had 1 corporate job, and I would say 2 jobs. Obviously, I worked all through college, as well as resold all through college, because college is expensive as shit, and I didn't take out student loans. I just paid the bill because I would work hard. I know that's pretty amazing to hear, but that's what I would do. So I worked for a telecom company for a year, and I helped them. I was just actually a contract employee. So my timeline is after college, I was a stand-up comedian. I did a few shows around the country, a few festivals, that kind of stuff. And I didn't want to move to New York or Los Angeles to improve my career. And also, it's a very cutthroat industry. I like it because I like the camaraderie of talking to funny people. But for a lot of people, it's like, here's I'm going to get famous. And I didn't like that. After that, I published a book where I got authors from around the Great Lakes to write creative nonfiction. Sold that. That was nominated to be a Michigan Book of the Year. Didn't win. They didn't. It wasn't, it was too different from the standard, like, here's a book of poetry about, like, battered children. Wasn't like that, so I didn't win. Then someone heard me. Oh no, then I worked for a startup that sold vitamins. They went out of business. But someone heard me on an NPR interview for my book in Florida, and they flew me down there and said, you know what, we like the way you think. We want you to help rebrand our company. I did that, but living it was in northern Florida. I don't know if you guys know what the South is like in America, but it's extremely segregated. Even, right now there are racial tensions run amok. But it was bad back then too, and I was very uncomfortable in the town where, like, here's the white part of town, here's the black part of town. and like people would like, look at my girlfriend and I when we're eating and like give us weird looks. I was just extremely uncomfortable living in an environment where like that mattered so much to people. So I said, nah, I'm getting out of here. Came back up to Detroit. I was able to get a warehouse for really cheap. I was able to use space up in Flint. Where I was born in Flint. My family has a business, a company, a big warehouse in Flint for construction. So I was, working there, living in Detroit. And that's when I became like a full-time entrepreneur. I had a candy importation business that eventually went out of business because of Donald Trump's absurd tariffs that just bent over and screwed so many small businesses. That was executed by him. And at that point, I said, oh, I got to make some money. So I started doing just like full-time thrift store stuff. Although, since I've been about 15 years old, I've been buying and selling things and reselling them. Since I was younger than that, since I was 12, actually. So that's kind of like the short version of my life, of my business life. Money from Mars says, what's up, man? I am late today. Had to go sweat. Amazing the things you have to do to make money sometimes. Huh, yeah. Are they buying your sweat? It's good to sweat, though. It's very good to sweat. It purifies the mind and the body. Let's see. Shannon says, no way, I'm a former stand-up comedian turned freelance joke writer. No wonder I gravitated towards you. Yeah, that's what I love, good jokes, and I love funny people, and I love jokes that are like, what I do not necessarily, this is just my own personal belief, there's two kinds of comedians, and especially now in the age of like identity politics, there's two kinds of comedians. There's joke writers, and there's personalities. And even you might say, okay, but what about storytellers? And they get kind of cut both ways because some stories are very comedic and some stories are very like, oh, I know how that is. They're very relatable. I do not like the personalities, the relatable story. I don't like that. It doesn't do it for me. I'm not so deeply steeped in, viewing the world through the lens of class that I find those things funny or relatable. I like more the jokes that follow, a format, or even better, if they reject the format, and they're just like totally absurd and nonsensical, but the rhythm, and the joke pattern, and the expectations are still there. I like that. So I like people like Norm Macdonald. I like people like Hannibal Buress. I like people like Bill Burr, for example, or Jerry Seinfeld. People who who they're, certainly they all have personalities, but they're not people like, oh God, I don't even know their name. I don't want to say anyone's name because I love, Dave Chappelle. I love Dave Chappelle. I think he's the funniest guy ever. Even if you go back and you watch like Steve Martin or you watch like Richard Pryor, even though some of those jokes don't hit the same way they used to back then, there's still aspects about them that are very funny. And like the way they'll, impersonate voices in their joke, to establish context, I think is very funny. Firecrest says, Gabriel Iglesias. I watched him in Syracuse right before COVID. Yeah, I think he has his own show right now. I mean, like, that's the thing, too, is like, oh, yeah, love Eric Andre. Bo Burnham, I'm on because sometimes I think his jokes are not like, I don't think his jokes are jokes. They're just like statements or, wordplay oftentimes. And I like wordplay, but it's not going to make me laugh. So, like, I would say Bo Burnham is exceptionally clever, and I like watching his stuff, but I don't laugh as much as I do at someone like Jerry Seinfeld or Norm Macdonald. And that's just my personal preference. Obviously, anyone who can make money telling jokes, they are doing amazing. They can bring joy to people's lives. And who am I to be like, boy, you're not funny enough for me? No. The point of a stand-up comedian is to make audiences laugh. And so if someone's doing that, they are successful. It doesn't matter what I think. I want to make that point very, very, very clear. That I'm not the arbiter of what humor is. I'm just giving you my opinion. And so when you hear a crowd laughing, the person's doing a good job. They could be smashing watermelons with a giant hammer. They could be just, trying to eat food and having it spill all over their body. If they're making the crowd laugh, they're doing a good job. But just my personal persuasion. Yeah, Shannon goes, Norm, Chappelle, Carlin. I'm probably three of the funniest people in the world. Yeah, the Sledge-O-Matic. Yeah. Yes, so Shannon, you know what I'm talking about. and everyone else is kind of like, huh? Oh boy, Hannibal Buress has a interview that went up yesterday on the Joe Rogan podcast, and that was I watched the first 20 minutes and I had to start doing this. And my God, they're just so funny. They're such funny people. I don't think Joe Rogan is that funny even on stage, but in his podcast, just the way he reacts to people and the goofy faces he make, I like that. Joe Coy, I've never listened to Joe Coy. I don't know. But I mean, I'm not like a hard audience. If the person's telling good jokes, certainly if I'm in the audience and everyone else is laughing, I'm gonna laugh too because laughing makes you feel good. But I'm at home, and if I'm in a bad mood, it has to be absurd, surreal things to get me out of my head. I mean, that's for me personally. I'm always thinking nonstop, and my mind tends to spiral and just explode, and I just get caught into these traps where I'm so invested in figuring out the solution that I find these situations with no solution, and it just like depresses me. And so when I watch programs that are inherently absurd and there's no way you can possibly think your way through them, it's like turn my brain off, so to speak. And I like that a lot. I'll have to look up Joe Coy. You guys say they're hilarious, so I'll have to look them up. But again, I have digressed. Shannon says, Margaret Cho impersonating her parents slays me. I watched Margaret Cho when she had her first stand-up special on Netflix, I think, and I loved it. I thought she was so funny. I remember being like, man, this woman is a great joke writer. Question. About how long will Amazon hold the account level reserve withholding? We had our first sale 6 weeks ago. We are not booksellers at this time. Huh. So my understanding was the account low reserve was supposed to go away after a month, but apparently not if it's been 6 weeks. Do you have the option to request it be removed? Because it might be that certain, some of those automatic things have been delayed, or the automatic account checks have been removed because they're understaffed. So the man hours have to go to customer service. I don't know, but I would say that you have to just talk to him. Cody Honecker says, can anyone give me Amazon Seller Support phone number? So the way it works is they call you, my friend. So what you're going to want to do is go to Seller Central on Amazon, and I'm going to copy and paste the link for you in the chat. Because when you log into your seller account, it's going to be the same page. You're not going to have like anything. It's the prefix is Seller Central. That's like the subdomain. But what you're going to want to do is you're going to go to Help in the top right corner. And then you're going to want to scroll down and go to Need More Help, Get Support, which is just stupid. And so you're going to want to go here. I'm going to copy and paste it for you. Actually, we can go even, yeah, you're going to want to go here, and you're going to want to describe your issue. So that's how you're going to fix that, Cody. I just shared the link with you. I hope that helps. And then they're going to call you. You can't call them. Money from Mars says, I met Hannibal Buress in VIP once. Funny guy, very cool guy. Talked to him about 20 minutes. Very clever. I bet. I get the feeling that Hannibal Buress, he's a straight shooter. He sees things for how they is. And he's a reseller. Hannibal Buress is a reseller. He bought 4 Tesla flamethrowers with the intent to resell them. So he's a good guy. I like him a lot. I always make sure. I'd love to see him in concert too, or in a show. But who knows if we're ever gonna have comedy again? Dave Chappelle did his 846, which is in reference to the monstrosity that occurred in Minneapolis when Officer Derek Chauvin put his knee on George Floyd's carotid artery for 8 minutes and 46 seconds and executed the man. So his stand-up the name is an homage to that, and the way that he performed that was at a wedding venue where everyone's sitting in their wedding seats and everyone's 6 feet apart. So he was able to do comedy like that. But if you've ever told jokes before, that sort of wide open, lots of stimulation environment is not conducive, for jokes unless you're one of the most masterful performers, that ever existed. All right, we have 75 people here, and we have 45 thumbs up. We are just over an hour. If you have questions, ask them now. If you can give a thumb up for the video, please give a thumbs up right now. And if you're new to the channel, please feel free to subscribe, because I'm doing this 3 days a week. I haven't had any desire to make a standalone video because I don't know what new I can cover. But if you have new videos that aren't live streams that you want me to make, please feel free to tell me. Please feel free to tell me, and I'll try to make those. I want to make content that helps people. Austin Goen says, best and worst part about reselling online. Also, what would you recommend for someone just thinking of wanting to buy and sell on Amazon, eBay? The best part is how much money you can make on your own with no boss, with no one telling you what to do with your fucking time. No one doing that. You're your own boss. You have autonomy. You have independence. You have freedom. That's the best part about reselling. What's the worst part? The worst part about being a human being, that we have to share the oxygen with absolute idiots. And sometimes those idiots buy things. That's the worst part, because all of these platforms, they are customer centric. So you know how, like in blackjack, the dealer wins? In reselling, the customer wins if it's a tie. It's frustrating, it's a pain in the ass, but that's the tax you pay, so to speak, to sell on Amazon. What would you recommend for someone just thinking of wanting to buy and sell on Amazon, eBay? I would say that the most, practical way to start is used books. And once you understand how Amazon works on used books, you will understand so much more, and you can then migrate towards whatever niche interests you. So I'd say that. James Richards, and they have a little check by their name. What does that mean? I was literally walking through a Dollar Tree scanning books while I was listening to this. James, you're walking the walk, you're talking the talk, and you're walking the walk. That's awesome. Mike Kovlachik says, you're hyper crazy today, ellipsis, love it. Yeah, I had a bunch of coffee at noon. The weather's shitty out right now. I don't know about you. I don't know how you live your life. I don't know what affects you. But me, the weather affects me. I have like a barometer out the side of my fucking neck. And it just, influences my thoughts. I get seasonal affective disorder so bad, so hardcore, that it just pushes me into a spiraling depression. And today it's dark and gloomy out. And so I had to pump my body full of caffeine just to get the energy to turn this on and talk to you guys. I don't want to make this seem like it's easy. I love doing these live streams. I love being able to talk to you guys for hours on end, but sometimes it's tough. Maintaining a schedule, even if you love it, is tough, especially if you're a wild card like me and you have no stability in your life. Just kidding, I have stability. But just, I'm not drawn to organizations or, it took me 28 years to learn how to clean the kitchen. Stephanie Shelley, or She-Hi says, currently scanning through pallets of books as I'm watching this. That's the way to do it. Love to hear that. Shannon Baldwin, honest questioning regarding the stuff behind you, the stuff back there. Is it left over from Aria or thrifting? So these are cleaning supplies. Those are DVDs that are all, I have them listed in an anime lot on Amazon. Those are DVDs that I am reorganizing. Those are CDs that I just play for music in my warehouse. These are DVDs that I pulled aside because they're for kids, and I'm giving them to, my plan was to give them to preschools when they open back up, but that isn't happening. If you look back there, those are 2 toys I have to throw away because they're broken. That's where the Guitar Hero guitars used to be. I listed all those. A lot of it is stuff just I have listed. A lot of the things at this point behind me are listed, and a lot of things you can't see off camera over here are things that are just being like thrown out because they were from most often pallets. It's usually I'll buy there. Probably in 2019 I bought 60 or 100 pallets, I bet. And so I got a lot of shit out of those. I was like, yeah, I'll sell that later. I'll sell that later. And I just never sold it. So I'm just like throwing it away one dumpster at a time now. So that's what it's from. Thomas Morello says, and I believe that's how you say your last name, I guess I don't have an eye for valuable items yet. I walked through a Dollar Tree and it looked crappy. What am I doing wrong? Yeah, you got to keep an open mind. Just scan stuff. Scan things. Look for things that are branded. Scan the books. Look for things that are seasonal. So seasonal stuff, I would say right now we are past the 4th of July. The next major holiday is Labor Day. And then we have all of the harvest bullshit that happens in September. So I would say now I would start preparing to look for like little tiny hay bales. Or maybe like a paper dangly thing that has a scarecrow on it. Or Halloween stuff. Halloween, maybe a $10 or a $25 Halloween decoration kit that has $8 in items and ships for $7. Something like that, maybe. Question, is there a way to scan CD barcodes and have it show the genre of music? Not that I am aware of, but that would be very helpful. You can probably use like the Discogs API to do that, but I have no clue how it would begin. Lady T says, how long does it take a new seller to expect to make a livable income on Amazon? So that really is going to differ person to person. I know people who have gone from zero to making $5,000 a month in 4 months. And I know people who still struggle 2 years down the line. It really depends, with how strict you are to keeping track of your progress, how good you are at following the rules you set for yourself. There's going to be a system in place, and all the system is a set of rules. So you're going to say, okay, if it's under this, I don't buy it. If it's over this, I do buy it. And then you track your sales and go, oh shit, my system rules are incorrect. I should change them. The system is still valid, but the premises the system uses to derive its consequences are not the ones you want. They don't create the prescribed or the preferred effects. Shannon Baldwin says, pumpkin carving kits. Yes, absolutely, Shannon, that's a great idea. Adam Scalizzi says, there's a lot of straight lines in your name, man. I don't know if you knew that. Currently listing books on eBay from Australia. Wow. Amazon isn't popular here, so eBay is our only option. Yeah, I mean that's the thing too, is all the advice that I give is just generalized advice. It can be applied to anyone, anywhere, and it's really relying upon the ideas of supply and demand. And Adam, also, it's got to be like between 2 and 5 in the morning over there, right? Like, it's 3:30 here in gloomy Michigan. It's got to be late there. Rallier Ballier says, bro, selling the reefer is the only way to earn peas. So, selling drugs is not the only way to make money, which is what they're saying. And reefer is slang for reefer, and reefer is marijuana. And peas, is that slang for pounds? I don't know. Bruv is how they say friend in England. So I would say, and robbing posh boys trainers. So I think Rallier Ballier is either someone in England or someone LARPing as an English ruffian. And I can maybe, you know what? I don't know how the rules are in the UK because you have so many goddamn laws there that dissuade entrepreneurship and dissuade people from taking their own abilities and making money off them, that maybe it is. I don't know. It's absolutely crazy. In some countries, you can't start a business unless you have a certain amount of money in the bank. You want to start a business in some Scandinavian countries, for example, you can't do it unless you have the capital to prove you can do this. It's absolutely insane. So maybe the only way you can make money in England. I mean, I know it's not true because we have Tom the Picker, who's an Englishman, in the Facebook group, so he's doing it. But the point I'm trying to make is a lot of folks talk shit about America, and there are a lot of problems with America. But the United States is one of the only places that I know of that anyone can become a millionaire. Anyone. There's no class rules. There's no absurd laws in place about like, oh, you can't do a business unless you have this much money, or unless you have, a license or a degree of some sort. So even though, when people talk about the Constitution in America, they say, oh, a long time ago, the founding fathers and people of their era, they would say, oh, it's an experiment. It's the grand experiment. And we're always experimenting in America, trying to get, to make things better. Trying to find new ways to achieve the ideals put forth in the Constitution. That was what really kind of irked me is, on the 4th of July, everyone always quotes "What is the 4th of July to a Slave" by Frederick Douglass, which is an absolutely phenomenal speech. It is absolutely one of the best speeches you could ever read, and Frederick Douglass was one of the most eloquent men to ever live, especially considering the absolutely insane tribulations that man went through in his life. It's absolutely crazy to be living in Baltimore as a child, and to see people of your same race be brought in off the streets as chattel slaves is absolutely crazy. But anyways, I digress. So in that speech, basically he's saying like America's great, the ideals are great, but they're not being fully embraced by the population. And I think that nuance of his speech and that nuance of many popular criticisms of the United States is often lost among today's generation, who just sees quotes and doesn't read the whole speech. Again, I'm ranting right now, but the ideals put forth are good. The execution of the ideals is not always the best. Anyways, Brian Campbell says, question: what's the cheapest universal remotes I could pair with these DVD VCR combos I have? Thanks. I believe you can buy them. You can buy them on Alibaba for like $4 or $5 a pop, and they will say what they pair with. You can also go to DHgate and buy like this one. Like I believe this exact brand is on DHgate.com. One for all. And these definitely, like I said in the last video, these pair with all of these types. Firecrest says, you get your shot no matter who you are. Yeah, absolutely. You get a shot, and our desire as a country should be to make sure that everyone has the ability to maximize their shot. If you're some malnourished crack baby, it doesn't really matter what shot you get, even though it's there. And so our goal, I believe, as a person, I believe should be to encourage and support everyone as they mature into adults, to give them an ability to compete to their fullest potential in an open market. I think that the ideals put forth in the Constitution, and if you've read Locke or you've read the people whose the Enlightenment thinkers whose thoughts informed many of the writers of the Constitution, you would tend to agree that it's about making people, or creating an environment that people can compete in, and through competition create the best products, not create an environment that artificially holds people down, purposeful or not purposeful, because that's not, if you believe in like natural rights and that kind of stuff, those certainly are the exact opposite of what someone who believes everyone has the right to like clean food, clean water, and communication, or the right to be heard, as the UN puts it. Those certainly are not always being fulfilled in America. In America, you can get shot from stealing shoes too. Yeah, 100%, exactly. But that's not an issue with everyone having a shot. That's an issue with the government being given far, far too much authority. That's not an issue with the rights people are being given. It's an issue with the rights that are being denied by people. So again, there's no clause in the Constitution that goes like, yeah, but you can still shoot people if you want to. Like, or the government can still shoot folks if they want to. They were actively railing against that because it was being done to them by, the United Kingdom. Tamika Mumford says, malnourished crack baby. Walter strikes again. Yeah, well, it's because where I've grown up, I've seen people, children, young kids, who are incapable of growing up to be someone who can succeed in America by no fault of their own. And the idea of and again, if you, like I do, if you believe that the purpose of having a open, free society is to create competition, because competition derives the best product, you want to have the most competitive citizens in terms of competency, in terms of health, in terms of intelligence. So that was the point I was trying to make there. Stephen says, do you recommend wholesale? And wholesale can be fine. It's like, it's like running your own business. In my opinion, wholesale is not as fun by any means, because you're not searching for treasures, you're not going around hunting for stuff, but it's a great way to make a lot of money. I was listening to Bearded Picker's morning live stream, and they have 2 other men on there, and one of the men has a wholesale flag company, and he makes money doing that, or he did make money doing that. I guess at this point, COVID's really thrown that guy a curveball. But prior to this, he was making a lot of money. And wholesale, as I understand it to be, and I do wholesale on a very small level, oftentimes with like food products and remotes and that kind of stuff, it allows you to take all of the time you spend sourcing out of the equation. So it is good. All right, so this live stream has been just chock full of rants. Hope you guys like it. DIY Rob says, best place to sell DVD VCR combos. First is going to be Amazon, but not everyone is just able to sell them off the bat on Amazon. Second, I'm going to say is eBay or Mercari. I've seen generally... So there's a much wider price variance of what things sell for on eBay. Like a DVD VCR combo I'll sell for $125 on Amazon will probably sell for between like $40 and $75 on eBay. And that's because there are just more sellers and more competition. But they both sell on both places. And they're both profitable too. Money from Mars says, no worries, your rants have some of the best information. Yeah, I guess you could call it that. Some of the loudest information, at least. Oh, boy. I'm going to head out, guys. I think that I answered all the questions I can answer today. I appreciate you all for coming here. Appreciate everyone's input. If you have questions, put them in the comments after the video posts. Watch my older videos, all that good stuff. Have a great weekend. And if you see someone struggling to make money, struggling to pay the bills, asking for charity, obviously if you can give them, help them. If you can help them, give them money. But if you don't want to do that or you can't do that, please share my videos with them. Show them there's a way beyond begging or asking for government assistance. Please, please help folks understand that. And as usual, don't be fill in the blank. Shithead.